But something that got overshadowed in all of the hubbub, man, that's like a grandparent's word, isn't it? All of the nonsense with the notice of allegations was a commitment for Tennessee football. Nathan Leacock, who is a 3-star wide receiver from Raleigh, North Carolina, Millbrook High School, committed to Tennessee. And I wondered about this. He's one of two things. Tennessee either told him to commit at this specific time to distract people, to go like, hey, we got to commit, or he's a victim of unfortunate timing because it really got lost in the shuffle. I really like this pickup. I think he's kind of an under the radar kid, and I think Tennessee really thinks that too. But it definitely got lost in the shuffle of that Friday afternoon, unfortunately for him, however it went down.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's unfortunate timing because he's a 3-star player. I'm like you. I like the pickup. I think and I know that, look, we say it all the time. Every time a low 3-star kind of commits, you always call him an under the radar pickup or hidden gem. That's kind of the words that you throw out. But, at this point, that's what you're hoping for. That's what the school's hoping for. That's what they assume they're finding. So, you got to kind of assume that's the case. But I don't think that a 3-star wide receiver is not enough to kind of distract anybody from the NCAA notice of allegations. I'm not sure there's a player big enough out there, really. Even if the Nico commitment would have happened, that NCAA story is still going to trump all that. But I'm like you. I think he's a great pickup. I think he reminds everybody kind of Cedric Tillman. Same body type, 6'3". Nathan Leacock's 200 pounds. I think Tillman was like 215 during the recruiting process, but this guy is rated as the number 78 wide receiver in the country, number 19 player in North Carolina, the number 592 overall player in the 2023 class. Not very impressive, right? Then you go look at Cedric Tillman's profile. He was rated as the number 246 wide receiver in the nation, the number 11 player in Nevada, not a very talent-rich state, and the number 1,677th ranked overall player in the nation. So two-thirds. I mean, significantly lower ranked player than Leacock, but very similar type players. So maybe he can fill that Cedric Tillman role for Tennessee.
I sure hope so. It was definitely his build in particular. Then when I saw this commit and was looking at it more closely, that's what I noticed for sure. You watch his videos, and I should have uploaded one here. I didn't. But you watch his highlights, and he stands out like a sore thumb because he's a college player playing with high schoolers. It looks that way. And even though he is a 3-star, I mean, to put that in context, think about the kids that are 5-stars. I think I would say the bulk of the people that listen to this show have probably seen the tape of a 5-star. It's so obvious. You don't, in a lot of those videos, they put the little circle over the player before the plays and they go, here he is right here. A lot of the time you don't even need to do that. You go like, oh yeah, he's the guy that's 6'6", 230 pounds. He's right there. He's playing against a 16-year-old who just learned how to drive. Like, it's kind of funny sometimes, honestly. But he stuck out like that. I mean, even on a college football field, Tillman looks large. And I think he could track right with that. I think it's a situation he's going to have to put on bulk. He's going to have to hit the weight room and the practice field really hard. But I think a lot of times the 3-stars is where you really find those guys that are willing to put the work in, that are willing to hit the grind. And hopefully he's that kid.
Yeah, and I mean, he had a offer sheet that kind of looked more like a 4-star player. I mean, he's got offers from Michigan, Miami, Kentucky, Florida, Mississippi State, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Vanderbilt, NC State. So a lot of Power 5 programs interested in him. UNC, hometown school, not far from where he plays there in Raleigh. So I feel like Tennessee went and got a guy that a lot of other programs wanted. No, he's not a 4-star, 5-star type guy. He's not a sure thing, but definitely has a lot of potential. And definitely, like you said, overlooked. Didn't really see much coverage at all about him on Friday. It was out there. I know there's a lot of outlets that cover Tennessee that do a tremendous job covering recruiting. And I know they were on top of this, but it was just that NCAA stuff was so loud you couldn't get past it.
Yeah, that was just if you were posting anything on your website and looking to get traffic and clicks, you got to go with the sensational thing, and that's just what ended up happening. But you did just notice with the articles about this kid, it is a lot of that sort of talk that's like the staff really believes that he's kind of being underrated and overlooked, and you take that with a grain of salt because, to some extent, of course, they're going to try to hype up their guy. But as I said, looking at that tape, I was like, honestly, like to really, he has the size. You can say that much. Will he be willing to put in the work to really get to that true SEC level? We'll see. But there was that, and then also just to throw in here at the end, you did also have a defensive line recruit for the 2024 class that committed to Tennessee. This one flew super under the radar. But Carson Gentle, 3-star, number 7 player in the state of Tennessee for the 2024 class. He also committed on the 23rd. So what was that? Saturday.
Yeah.
And says he also competes in wrestling and track and field. It just is 2024. It's one of those when any of those kids commit, because it was the same thing with Jonathan Eccles, who was a 5-star. It's an amazing pickup, but even with a 5-star, you go like, it's 2024. I mean, I'm not going to see this kid on a college football field for 3 years. And we can just kind of cross that bridge when it comes. But it is good to get a kid who's top 10 in the state of Tennessee. That's nice to see. But this one, even as much as Leacock flew under the radar, he's Carson Gentle is flying extremely far under the radar, I think.
Yeah, definitely no reason for fans to get too worked up about the 2024 class yet, good or bad. That's something. Obviously, the staff has to be cognizant of that class, and they're putting in the work. You start building those relationships very early on. 2024 class will really be the first class that Tennessee under Josh Heupel and this particular staff has like their full, like their guys. I mean, this is going to be their class, their guys 2023, of course. But 2024, I mean, then you've got guys, okay, they've been building a relationship for 2 years or more than 2 years with these guys. Like that's where maybe they can really break through and get a top 5 class. They do, like Tennessee does have the number 7 class in the country right now in 2023. I know a lot of opposing fan bases, people that don't really like to give Tennessee credit, talks about, well, it's just a quantity thing, and that's not necessarily the case. I mean, Tennessee has 19 commits. Clemson at 6 has 17. Penn State at 5 has 19. Texas at 4 has 20. Even Georgia has 17. Notre Dame at 2 has 20. Ohio State at 1 has 19. Average rating of their commit, each commit for Tennessee is 90.28, which really – anything above 90 is a pretty good class. I mean, that's probably going to, if you keep in that 90 to 90, you're in these top 10, maybe top 12 class at worst. And as long as you're in that top 10 range, you can get the talent to compete with Georgia. Maybe you're not going to get the talent to go 13-0 in the regular season and the SEC championship game and make a college football playoff run, because I don't know if you have the depth for that consistency. But on one given night, you got couple top 10 classes in a row. You're going to have the talent to give Georgia a run for their money and maybe pull off an upset.
Top 10 classes, you're going to be competitive across the board with anybody. Yeah, you're not going to end up like Georgia was last year, where they were able to impose their will on literally every team they played, including Alabama. Like, that takes a Herculean effort on the recruiting trail, or Herculean cheating, depending on how you look at it.
It takes 4 straight years of like top 3 classes to get there. Yeah.
I mean, those were elite classes all in a row. But at top 10, I think, especially with where Tennessee is right now, this is exactly what you got to be hoping for. Yeah, it would be unbelievable to have those top 3 classes. Sure, that is a little pie in the sky at the moment. Let's go win 9 games, win 10 games, then let's start talking about elite classes and really, or I would even say talking about elite classes, let's start expecting elite classes and go, hey, we had a 10-win season and this is the University of Tennessee. It's time to get some of the big boys in here. And you're getting some of the big boys. It's just not in the quantity that you'll need to beat an Alabama, to beat a Georgia. That's
How
Just
would
just
you
the way that it is in college football at the moment.